Hello and welcome to Paxton Road TV. This is a Paxton Road TV special. 20 years of ENIC. It's time to go. I called it It's Time to Go. That was just to get a little clickbait, but it should be Is It Time to Go, really? I'm joined by special guests tonight, Mike-Hotspur Hustler as per usual, and we've got guests in the house, Darren Altman, we have Stellis from Tottenham away, BobspurTv, and Richard Cracknell as well. So welcome, gentlemen. How are we all doing?
Very good, thanks.
Very good.
Thanks for having us.
Yes. Yeah, brilliant. That's brilliant. I'm glad we started off like that because it might go pear-shaped depending on what we do in this tonight. So, as I said, let's get straight into it. Let's not waste any time. The question I put on there was, it was a statement more, it's time to go. But I think it should be more of a question. Is it time for the board to go? ENIC have been in charge of Spurs now for 20 years, 2001 to present. I'm taking 10 years off. I don't know who to start with. Who's this? Who do I start with first? Because I can see you all chomping and ready to go for this one. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with the man, the sunny man in Spain. I'm going to start with Mr. Cracknell. Is it time? Is it time for ENIC to go? Off you go.
Hello, Sam. Hello, everyone. Yes, it is. It is. I know there's a lot of devil in the detail with that. Somebody has to come and buy us. Somebody needs to come in and actually pay £2 billion. But there's a principle of asking for ENIC to go. It's a pressure of ENIC to go. And 20 years with one cup win is simply just not good enough. It really isn't. Yeah. So they either need to absolutely reform root and branch at ENIC, and that means getting rid of Daniel Levy and go and send him off to deal with the business side of things, because football is a business now, and get a budget and give it to football people, because he is not a football person. It's as simple as that. So they've either got to absolutely reform, or they've got to go, and it's as simple as it's just not enough. If you look the evidence of it, you've got people that were very, very moderate, very, very pragmatic with their views of ENIC. People like Lee McQueen, that I do the last word on Spurs with. Very pragmatic, very positive, very outward looking. Finish with them. Norman Geiler, the author, been there years, been around Spurs for years, written probably 200 books on Spurs. Finish with them. Just so many people that were moderate and pragmatic that are finished with them. And when you start to see people like that go, well, I'm sorry, that's it now. You know, they've got to go, or at least Daniel Levy's got to go. You look at, like I've said before, you look at the managers we've had. We've had domestic managers, foreign managers, hardline, arm round the shoulder types. We have had every type of manager at Tottenham Hotspur, and nothing has worked. And all the way through that, every common denominator has been ENIC and Daniel Levy, ENIC and Daniel Levy, ENIC and Daniel Levy. When you've tried everything and nothing's worked, and you've only got one common denominator after 20 years, you don't need AC12 from Line of Duty in here to join the dots up, do you, really? Stand down, Ted Hastings. I think we've got this covered. So that's where I am with them at the moment.
Thank you very much, Richard. I like that, because that Line of Duty, remember, episode 7 is the finale on Sunday, so look out for that.
Oh, man. Oh, I'm looking forward to that more than Sheffield United. Yeah, exactly. And that says everything about the club, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Right, let's get back to this. I'm going to come up to you, Mike. I'm going to ask the same question. Is it time for them to go?
I sit very much on the fence of this, because I worry that if we sell, with Tottenham sold by ENIC, I worry as to who we would sell to and what that would mean to Spurs, because just selling Spurs, it doesn't mean to say we're going to get better owners than ENIC. I mean, we only have to look at who ENIC bought the club from and remember those days. And part of me worries that we could see not necessarily a return to those days, but something similar to those days. That's what concerns me. And I mean, when you look at this, we're in a pandemic at the moment. So again, it's like, who's got £2 billion floating around? So I wonder if ENIC going out is a longer term plan, and maybe we need to perhaps look at the actual executive board and aim for a short-term goal as to getting Daniel Levy and whoever else is on that executive board off that board. And like Richard said, get some proper football people on that board who know what they're doing, who's been in the game, and the proper football people. Because again, like Richard says, Daniel Levy, he's a great businessman, but he's not a great football person.
Is he? So, right, that's a nice segue into Stel there, because Stel's got something. So I'm going to go downstairs. I'm going to come back upstairs to you in a minute, Darren. Just wait, because I know Stel's got a few words to say it. Stel, is it time for them to go?
ENIC were a media company that bought up several several football clubs at the time. Spurs was one of 3 or 4 clubs they bought, and they had shares in. The only reason that they focused on Tottenham and they sold their shares in the other football clubs was because they looked at us and said, this one has got the most long-term value. You can't focus all your energy on lots and lots of clubs and think you're going to be successful and win trophies, because you're focusing in too many directions. Perfect example, Stan Kroenke. He owns 5-6 sports companies, and all of them are failing. All of them. Now, ENIC decided, right, we're going to sell our shares in the other football clubs, and we're going to focus on the one that gets us the most value long term. And they looked at Tottenham, the only London club in their portfolio, the one with the biggest fan base out of all the other clubs they owned, and thought, this is the one that we can make the most from. As long as we've got people that own the club whose priority is to make money, we're in trouble. And you need a balance. Okay, I've been working in football for a long time. I own a club. It's not nowhere near the size of Tottenham, and I wouldn't even pretend to say it is for a second. But my success with what I've done is because I've got a balance of 50%. We have to be profitable. We have to be a well-running, efficient business. But at the same time, if we're going to keep everyone on board and we're going to keep the greater cause going, we have to bring a community side to the club, and that is the fans and success and trophies. They go hand in hand. It's a 50-50 balance. And what we've got at Tottenham is a 75-80% swing towards the money. And for me, that can't continue anymore. 10 years ago, I was ENIC out. 10 years ago. I'll explain later why, because I've got a cracking story for you guys. And the only person that was with me at the time was Brian Daigle. And I'm going to give a big shout out to Brian Daigle, because he's been banging this drum for a long time on a lot of the YouTube channels. The question is this: either they go or they stay and reform. Do you think this lot are going to reform? And I hear what, sorry, was it Hazard? Who spoke second after Crackers? Beg your pardon.
Oh, that's me, Mike.
Mike, sorry, Mike, beg your pardon.
That's all right, mate. That's all right.
You're worried about what type of owners come in. Well, it can't carry on like this anymore. So I'd rather take my chances. 20 years is plenty of time to give them all the opportunity in the world. It's a ridiculously long time. We've been extremely tolerant. We've accepted it all. That's it. The time is up. So are they going to reform? Well, if a leopard doesn't change its spots in 20 years, it's not going to suddenly change those habits for the next 20. And that's the way I look at it. So I don't think they're going to reform. Daniel Levy, he's the chairman. He's not going to leave. He owns 25% of the company. He's not going to remove himself. The only person that can do it is Joe Lewis, and that guy doesn't even turn up to matches. So as far as I'm concerned, I agree with Crackers. They either change or they go, and I don't see them changing. So yes, they have to go.
Okay, fair. Well, as I said, it's obviously opinions on there. And as I said, I'm a bit on the fence. I'm like Mark. I'm a bit on the fence with this at the moment in time. I think we'll probably look at some of the graphics in a little while, but if we think about what it was like, and I'm old enough to remember some of those days in the 90s, we were terrible, absolutely terrible. The positives from that perspective is we have improved from that, and I will show some things in a little bit. But Darren, I'll come to you next. Is there anything positive about ENIC that you would want them to stay for another 20 years?
I think, hello, by the way, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Hello,
Darren. I mean, I think it's been said, you know, they're focused on business and numbers. The stats don't lie. You flashed up a graphic before, and I'm sure that you've got lots more to show us. But the stats don't lie. It's a business operation. You know, we've won one trophy, and you know, we spend. I've got some numbers here. In the top big six over the last 5 years, we have spent the least, and we've won the least. We won nothing. This spending of our new stadium, you know, £1 billion, what a stadium, it's unbelievable. It is a business venture, ultimately. You know, you've got the American football, you've doubled the capacity of seats, you've got all the concerts that are going to take place once we're out of COVID. It's a money-making thing. And I think, as been said, these are phenomenal businessmen with empires. And yes, Daniel Levy, you know, he's a born and bred Spurs fan. It's his boyhood club. But fundamentally, these are business people. They don't care about football. They care about making money. And as much as we've got the most unbelievable training ground, what was it? How many? 8 acres, 80 acres, or something stupid in Greenbelt, and the best stadium in the world, arguably. It's there to make money. That's what they're in it for. And you can't have transfer window after transfer window where, you know, we're teased. All these last minute bids for just mediocre players. I mean, we can discuss all this later on, but I think enough's enough. We need to get someone in who, like Stelios said, a great balance of being shrewd businessman and caring about football and putting money back into the team.
Isn't football a business? I think we've touched on it. Football is now a business, and even the teams at the top, you know, you got the Man Uniteds, you got your Cities, your Chelseas, all the rest of it. I know they put money in, but football is still run as a business. These guys who've come in as American owners, and I know we talked about the Liverpool ones and all the rest. These guys have come in to make money. Ultimately, they're not all supporters of the club, so I don't know ultimately what we as fans are expecting, because I'm looking at success. I don't care what the money side of things says, but I want to see success. Bob, what's your thoughts in terms of the success factor? Has there been anything successful that ENIC have actually contributed towards this club in the last 20 years?
No, you know, part and parcel of running a business is keeping your customers happy, and they've done anything but. We're at a standstill at the moment. We can't forget these are cretins who were about to kill our football club, about to kill our tradition, our history, and there's no going back. Now, in an ideal world, these cretins leave, but it's not going to happen. It's very unlikely to happen. Certainly in the days of financial hardship as it is right now. So, getting someone within having £2 billion to take over is unlikely. But what we need to do is, like Richard says, they need to change their ways. They need to have a plan. My biggest qualm with Jose was not managed to get an identity on the pitch in 18 months. There was no identity. The board need an identity. They need to have a plan. They need to have an identity. They need to work out which way they're going. Communicate it to the fans. That's the biggest thing. So we know what kind of manager they need to bring in. And then there's some form of acceptance. If it's going to be right, our model is working with youngsters and not spend too much, not spend money. Then there's an acceptance of what kind of manager will come in. All this talk of Ten Hag, the board looking at Ten Hag and Rodgers, absolutely irrelevant right now because we're at standstill. They need to decide what they're doing, if they're going to stay, if they're going to go, and then we can begin to think about what kind of managers they need to bring in, because what I think it's a bit of a cover up. You know, all these managers are being linked. We got linked to 5 managers yesterday in the space of 24 hours. Trapattoni, what's that about? Rijkaard, Brendan Rodgers,
That's the beauty, though, isn't it?
That's
exactly.
stretching, that
And
one
then
is.
there's Salzburg manager, and then there's Ten
Sol
Hag.
Campbell, he was in the mix, I think.
And it's just a
Sol
ploy.
Hold on a minute.
It's
Did you
just
say
a
Sol
ploy.
Campbell?
No,
Hundred
it's
to
Sol
one.
not, yeah?
no.
No, he was
It's
100
just a
to 1.
ploy. Yeah. I'm 200 to 1. It's just a ploy. It's just a ploy, Sam. Right now, they need to focus on themselves, get their house in order. Then we can think about how we move forward, i.e., bringing a manager in. Till then, I'm Ryan Mason in, because there's no point bringing anyone in.
So what I want to do now is I want to have a kind of like around the table or around the screen talk. I'm going to put up a couple of graphics because, as I said, I'm old enough to remember some of the old bad days, I guess, and some of the earlier 80s days. That shows how old I am. But I'll put up the graphic from before ENIC, 1981 to 2001, and just to make people aware at home, it's not all aligned, so the managers are not aligned to who's won what. It's just the list of the managers that we've had and the league finishes. So as you can see, league finishes, we finished fourth, or in the top four, should I say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. But then you can see from 1991 onwards, it was terrible. Terrible. In that time, we had Keith Birkinshaw, David Pleat, Terry Venables, Peter Shreves, Doug Livermore, Osvaldo Ardiles, Jerry Francis, Christian Gross, George Graham as our managers. We made 4 final appearances. We made 6 final appearances and won 4 trophies. 81 FA Cup, UEFA Cup, 91 FA Cup, and obviously the EFL back in 99. That was before ENIC. Now, this may surprise you. I'll put this up post ENIC. So this is during the reign of ENIC now. As you can see, our finishes are probably a little bit more consolidated in terms of top half finishes, and certainly more top half finishes within the top 4 than we had previously. But look at the number of managers that we've had. Glenn Oddle, David Pleat, Martin Yole, Juan de Ramos, Harry Redknapp, Andre Villas-Boas, Tim Sherwood, Maurizio Pochettino, Jose Mourinho, and now obviously Ryan Mason, who's interim, and then there'll be another one after that. Final appearances, as you can see there, 6 final appearances, and we have won 1 trophy. So I can see exactly why people are now saying, what's going on at this club? We've got a brand new stadium, a shiny brand new £1 billion stadium, training facilities, the envy of the world. But with all those facts and stats, are we saying that ENIC haven't done anything for us? Is it? Do we want to go back to them 90s days? Is anybody going to come in and, buy this club and actually throw the money that we expect them to do? I don't know who's going to do that. Has anybody got any thoughts on that? Yeah,
I do. Football was different then. Top 4 never existed until recently. Back then, you either win the league or nothing. To get into the what was called the European Cup, you had to win the league. So this top 4 was non-existent. If you wanted trophies, you either had to get into the UEFA Cup, if you win the FA Cup and get into the Cup Winners' Cup, or win the League Cup. Nowadays, you can finish 4th in the league, and in the following season be crowned champions of Europe. That's an utter con. Let's say West Ham come 4th this year and they get Champions League, and then the following year they win the Champions League. Are you telling me they're kings of Europe because they came 4th in their league? It's an utter. That's where we're at now with football. Yeah. But back then, if you won a trophy in the times that we won trophies, it was an absolute. It was a real achievement. To win a League Cup in 1999, to win the FA Cup in 91 was big because there's nothing else other than that. Now you get top 4, it's a trophy. Fans call it, it's better than a trophy because then you get the money. I don't get the money. Are you richer? Are you guys richer from top 4 guys? No.
And that's the point. This top 4 thing is kind of glossed over a lot of things. But again, I'm just looking at them 90s days, and I'll put that up again. Just look at some of them stats. Sorry, wrong one. Look at some of these stats from like 90 onwards. We were absolutely terrible through the 90s. Absolutely terrible.
But we won 2 trophies in the 90s, Sam.
I understand that, and that's what I'm about. I'm about trophies. But a lot of the up and comers are like saying, well, they want to see top 4. They want to see their team playing the best. Now, there's a school of thought. There's a lot of fans who want to see.
That's why we're called legacy fans now. They call us legacy fans.
That's exactly the point.
What's that about? I mean, it's pathetic, isn't it? Come on. I'm a legacy fan. I'm a real fan. I'm a real fan.
I know. Real fans are different, but some of the younger generations, they don't really care. They want to see good football, and they want to see playing Champions League football every year. They want to see us playing the best.
Do you know, Sam?
Sorry.
Even during those bleak 90s years, we had an identity.
Yeah.
We could see what was trying to be done. We played with a flourish. We played with a style. That's the video they put up before each game when they, like, you know, when they put up this video. We are Ideales. We are Perryman. We are, and we play with a flourish. We play with a style. Yeah. Even in the 90s, there was a DNA, an identity to the club. And that's the problem. Now, it's gone. It's absolutely gone. Pochettino, for all his failings, he got us. He gave us an identity. And do you know what? I think Spurs fans will put up with glorious failure. Even though it's failure, they will put up with a glorious failure if they see there is that style and that effort and that Tottenham way. At the moment, there's nothing. There is absolutely nothing. It is desolate. It's barren land. It's like living where I live in Lanzarote. There's just nothing. Like it's just fields of little stones out of a volcano with the odd cactus, and that's it. Like there's no oasis. You're not finding one, and that's what really kills us legacy fans. I mean, I can't speak for the youth, legacy, but that's the most. That's what kills at the moment is the lack of identity and DNA. It's just like lurching from one thing to another. You can't tell me that Ryan Mason was the master plan. He just wasn't. Bless Ryan Mason. And like, listen, he stepped in for the love of THFC, not the love of ENIC. He stepped in. He's tried to do a job. Like he's a puppy chasing a Ferrari at the moment at 100 miles an hour, isn't he? You can't expect him to do that. Even Sky bantered us off last Sunday with Pep's record versus Ryan Mason in a graphic. It was like, come on, get a plan together. If you're going to get rid of Jose, at least have somebody lined up. We've not even got that now. It's rudderless. It's listless.
Apparently,
I'm going to come to go on, Darren. It's your time. I want you to, and then I want to, once you've had your, I want to touch on this and the panel to have a bit of a talk about what Cody Max put here.
As Crackers was saying, Harry Redknapp was saying, I think it was on Talk Sport recently. He says without a doubt they've got someone lined up. He said when Jose, I think, and they sacked Poch at 8 p.m. and then Jose was announced 8 a.m. and they said, you be sure they were doing the deals for like weeks because his contract is so, convoluted. So they said they don't go into this like sacking Jose without having someone lined up. So let's wait and see about that. But I just want to touch on something that you were saying about legacy fans. And, you're going to hate me for saying this, but I'm sort of sick and tired of the glory days and the Tottenham way. And because as expressions oozing, the guy that does, every year that passes that we don't say, it's black and white business. It's Pathé News business or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And we're harking back and harking back. And yes, Aussie Ardelis, and yes, Danny Blanchflower and the glory days, of course. But we're getting further and further removed, and we need something to change. Otherwise, we're in danger of being a laughing stock. You can't keep on harking back to 1982.
But this is what they want. This is what they want. This is exactly what ENIC want. They want you to forget those glory days. They don't want you to remember that this club, before the Premier League began, won trophies. 1991, we broke the record. We won the most FA Cup, more than Arsenal, United, everyone. We were number 1 FA Cup winners. We were known as a club that won trophies. Maybe not as much as United and Liverpool, but we won more FA Cups than Arsenal, more League Cups, and still to this day, more European Cups than Arsenal. That's all changed because they want you to forget that past. They don't want you to now think, oh, yeah, but Tottenham is this great club that wins trophies. They now want you to believe that if you do win a League Cup or if you do win an FA Cup, there you go, we've done it. No, you haven't done it. It's not ENIC. That's the beginning.
Yeah, but it's not ENIC who has made the Champions League better I'm from your generation. I still remember the night. We'll talk about this loads still, about the 91 Cup final. We can name the first 11, the subs, the goals, or how they went in, etc. That's so prominent. But it's not ENIC who have made the Champions League bigger than the League Cup, and unfortunately the FA Cup. It's not them. And all this about legacy fans, it's sign of the times, mate. And
can I just say something, Bob? I'm just going to interrupt you. I just want to quickly interrupt you. Are we in danger of thinking that Spurs are a bigger club than we actually are? And what I say by that is success-wise. The only thing I'm saying is we've won the league, and I've said this on a number of occasions. We've won the league twice. We have won the last of our trophies was back in 2008, and obviously before that was 99. We notoriously aren't on the same level as the Liverpools, the Man Uniteds, the Arsenals, even Chelsea to a point, and City's now, obviously, for the former years. But have we not been spoiled from, I guess, the Pochettino days? And I guess looking back as legacy fans, yeah, we can go back to all those FA Cup days and the glorious days of the Osvaldo. But ultimately, in the last 20 years, we just haven't been very good. And have we had a little period where we had the Pochettino and we thought, right, we should be now doing X, but really and truly, we're not close to that. I don't know what the panel feels about that.
Completely agree.
That is down to ENIC, though. That is down to ENIC. The fact we're not grown.
That goes back to what I said. That's what they want you to believe. They want you to think Pochettino was a treat. There you go. No, that's not what Tottenham Hotspur is about. This club was called Glory Tottenham Hotspur. Why? Because we used to win trophies. We used to have glorious European nights with success at the end of them. This club used to be far bigger and far more renowned on a footballing sense 30 years ago. Now it's renowned for a big fan base, a big stadium, NFL, Lady Gaga.
The odd final.
Top of the Deloitte and Touche profits. That's what make that. How else did we get into this elite European group? We're not elite, of course we're not. But there was a time, quite a while ago now, where Spurs were regarded as a big club, a classy club, and that's all being diminished. And they want you to be like that, Sam. That's what they want, because then they get away with it. No, it stops.
You know what? Still, go on, Richard. I have to say, this ESL nonsense that's come along. There was 12 founder members of that. And when you look at it, they're all clubs that have won so much more than us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, everybody, they made it a banter thing. Everybody, Noel Gallagher was on the radio today saying, the most mad thing was seeing Tottenham in that group. But what does that tell you? That Tottenham is in that founding 12 and winning nothing. So there is the potential of the size of the club. Like that it speaks so much volumes that a club that's won so little is still part of those 12 in world football. So it's it shows up ENIC's failings even more, that there is this huge, great club there with huge, great amounts of money, huge, great amounts of fan base, a new stadium, a new training ground. There we are in with these other 11, which were like all of them, every one of them, those other 11, much bigger than us, much bigger, but we're still in with them. And it's like, well, that shows ENIC up for their failings of not matching that size with success. It showed it up, actually. It showed it up.
I just want to come to Darren on
more
this.
Fans of Man City. More fans of Man City. I don't care what anyone says to me.
I want to come to Darren on this. Do you think we have been spoiled as a fan base over the last 6 or 7 years, forgetting obviously all the past, but have we kind of thought that we are better than we actually are? Because we've got considerably a lot better infrastructure. What they've done around the borough of Haringey has been immense over the last 20 years. But success on the pitch hasn't come. But are we trying to punch above our weight?
Massively. I mean, I couldn't agree more with Crackers. I mean, unfortunately, we're glory Tottenham Hotspur, but our glory days have, I won't say been and gone, but they're that, they're in the rear view mirror. And definitely, I mean, if you're looking at the stats, so I've got notes all around me here. If you're looking at the stats, like I said, the big six, spending over the last 5 years, we're at the bottom. So when you're talking about punching above your weight, definitely. And I think we are in the league. All right, okay, we got into top four, Champions League under Poch. But I think we're definitely punching above our weight without a shadow of a doubt. We're not like any, as much as it pains us to say it, we're not Chelsea or Liverpool or even Arsenal. What the FA Cups they've won. I mean, we're just not. I'm sorry, but that's we're glory Tottenham Hotspur, but in name only, unfortunately.
So is it a case of we're looking at, and this is what I'm saying, and I think West Ham kind of fall into this sort of trap. They're West Ham fans. They don't, to a degree, and I always say to a degree, they just want to see their team play really good football. They don't really, not say they don't care about winning, but they don't want a manager to come in who's going to have a more of a pragmatic approach. They want to see their team go out and play and enjoy. And are we not in danger of the same sort of thing as Spurs? Because as I said, I remember the 80s days. I remember those early 90s days. That's what we were. We were a team that was going out and we was, entertaining. We had some of the players that have gone through Spurs. You just name them. We've had some really, really top class talent. But ultimately, it's about playing nice football, not winning anything. Mike, are we in danger of just potentially losing sight of the fact that, again, we're not that successful? But I think Richard mentioned it. What is our identity going forward?
I don't think we have an identity. I think it's been mentioned before, but I struggle to see where or what our identity is at the moment. I think, in fairness to ENIC, and I'd put this question out there to the panel: is ENIC not trying to build a platform to help us challenge and put us on the roadmap with the big clubs by building the world-class facilities like the training ground, like the stadium, to obviously attract players, to bring more money into the club through other ventures?
No.
Which
that's the wrong way round, isn't it? That's the wrong way round, isn't it, Mike? Surely you get a successful team, put in success on the pitch, and then surely get the facilities to match that. It's wrong way. And if you're talking about a platform, mate, come on, 20 years for a platform. It's a bit.
But have we had the money at the club before? We've never had any money spent within the club. We were playing in a 36,000 seater stadium. When you look at the other clubs prior to just us building that, or this 1.2 billion pound stadium, our stadium was considerably smaller than, you look at Arsenal's. They were in a 62,000 seater stadium. We had to expand that stadium.
Leicester City are third in the league. They've got a smaller stadium than our old stadium. This doesn't wash with me, Mike.
Do you not think? Sorry, just on that still. Do you not think Leicester is a bit of an outlier? Because I think that the league corresponds in terms of the correlation is whoever spends the most money, in terms of transfers and wages, usually win the league. There's always going to be an outlier. I think Leicester was that outlier because that season it was a pants season. We should have won that league. But every other season,
Leicester didn't spend loads of money. They spent cleverly.
Mike, they spent it smartly.
That's the problem.
That's the difference. Now spend double that money smartly and see where you get. That's the thing. Like, it's this stadium issue. I get why they've done it, but if you're a Tottenham Hotspur fan, if Tottenham played in the middle of the road, I'd watch them from the pavement. So if you're a Tottenham fan, you're going to watch them. Whatever. Do you know what? There's a part of me that says, I hope with this ESL nonsense, and it was a nonsense, by the way, we get relegated down to the conference, because it'd just get rid of all these new fans that quote you like the FIFA this and the XG that and everything. Go away. I'm not interested in you. Go away.
I'm in trouble saying stuff like that.
Well, I'm saying it now. I'm a Tottenham fan.
Crackers.
I'll watch them. I will watch them anywhere because they're in my blood. My dad's been going since the early 60s. I've been going since 74. And my boys are Tottenham. There's 3 generations right there. And their kids will go on. My son's William Nicholson Cracknell. He's Bill Nicholson Cracknell. It's on his birth certificate. He's got no chance. He's Tottenham. It's done. It's finished. My other son's Thomas Alfred Walter, after Walter Toll Cracknell. They're Tottenham. It's as simple as that. So whatever happens, we are Tottenham. So like, you know, all this business and like, oh, we're making this money and that money. I'm not interested. I'm a Tottenham fan. I just want Tottenham to be Tottenham. Richard, and I think that speaks to a lot for a lot of people.
100%.
It does. I'm just going to come back to this. I want us to talk about this. Sorry, Stel. I want us to go back to this Cody comment here. He wants to know what the panel thinks about the exponential growth of the fan base internationally under ENIC's tenure. How has this been achieved? And that goes and touches on what Richard was saying about, you know, some of the younger fans. They don't know anything other than ENIC. You know, my son's 21 next month, and he doesn't know anything other than ENIC. But he also doesn't know anything other than non-success, pretty much. So what they're seeing is a different way of looking at football. What they kind of look for is, right, who are we playing next? Are we going to be in the Champions League? This top 4 thing has really glossed over a lot of things. I know we've touched on it, but all they want to see now is they want to play the likes of Juventus. They want to see the likes of Barcelona come to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. They want to see Real Madrid. They're not really that interested in us winning an FA Cup or us winning a League Cup. I am. I was heartbroken when we lost at the weekend, but that's me as a fan. They're not bothered about. They want to see Champions League, and this is what Poch kind of said. He said, right, I'm going to dispense with those domestic cups. I think we should be winning the league and we should be winning Champions League. No, as Spurs, we're not even in that bracket. We shouldn't even be thinking about that. We should be concentrating on domestic trophies and domestic trophies only to get some success. So how is the fan base? Like I said, because it has grown a lot. What's your thoughts, guys, on the fan base?
Premier League has grown. The marketing of the Premier League has raised the profile of the clubs that finish in that top 6 bracket. It's the Premier League marketing that's created exponential growth. And because the global market then grew off the back of it, once you sign an international star, you grab a lot of fans for a short period of time from that country. Cumin, Sun being a perfect example. And plus, the marketing of the Champions League has then elevated the clubs that get into that. So a lot of the growth, it's not down to Levy and ENIC. It's down to the growth of the competitions that we're in. That's why teams like Schalke and Wolfsburg or PSV Eindhoven, which used to be a big club back in the day, and Feyenoord, why haven't they grown? Because their domestic leagues aren't on that marketing level of the Premier League. It's one big giant business machine at work. If there's one thing you can give the Premier League credit for, it's the way they've made the Premier League the most popular league to watch in the world. It's not the best league. Technically, there's better leagues, but in terms of an entertainment, a spectacle, the guests on the show and the apps and the technology and the skies, yeah, it's the best.
I'll come to some of these comments because we've got quite a few comments here anyway. So Cody Mack, I think you could have argued that ENIC were looking to build, like Mike said. That is until they attempted to steal the club from the fans of England. Yep. Unforgivable and treasurous.
But then if they didn't, this is a catch-22 situation, though, isn't it? Because and I've said this to Bob and I've said this to you, Shane, if we didn't, or Levy didn't go with this Super 12 or whatever you want to call it, the CSL, we'd have got left behind. So it would have been damned if he did go and damned if he didn't go. So where does it? Whatever he does would have been the wrong thing to do. So I would have done exactly what he would have done.
Make no mistake that this ESL hasn't gone away. There will be. They've put in an opening gambit of the league in this style, and if they got away with it, they would. What they'll do now is they'll go away and they'll introduce a 2-tier ESL with a relegation and a promotion and everything else to make it the same. But what they've done was they pulled the rug on just the basic tenets of football with risk and reward. Because look, Man City are not going to get relegated from the Premier League, but They could. That's the problem. It might be 0.0001% chance of them getting relegated, but they technically can. When you take that away, that technical ability to relegate someone and the risk and reward, you lose the whole game. And that's what they'll come back with. And that I think that was most people's problem with this ESL, this being a founder member and staying in there for 23 years and not being able to get relegated. Who wants to watch that?
Yeah.
Got no chance. I'm as excited by us getting relegated as I am as us winning the league. But it is. You ask any fan that's been relegated, and those games where you need to go and win to avoid relegation are as exciting. They speak to the parts of your brain as much as you winning it.
I don't want to be part of that. I really don't.
It's something to play for, isn't it? It's something to play for.
But I don't want none of that.
Exactly.
I don't want it.
Who wants to be mid-table vanilla? No, not me. I want to be either gold or absolute like
raspberry.
That's where it is. Don't ever be vanilla. Don't ever be vanilla.
The fact isn't the ESL. I mean, like I say, like Crackers, you just say they're going to come back. We know they're going to come back, and they've given us the worst case scenario now. So whatever they come back with is going to look a bit better. My issue was, and the general fans' issue was, it was a thought of these so-called big six. Cretins sitting in a darkened room with their monitors, with a checkbook open, making little notes, and it's not overnight. They've been doing it for months on end, years probably on end, signing all the necessary documents. The next day coming out saying to their fans, "Here you go, like it or lump it. See you later." That was the biggest issue. How dare they not communicate? And the first thing I said today was, it's all about communication. For them not to even communicate. I mean, this Champions League's new Champions League format is pretty similar to the ESL, but we've been given 2 years to read it, take it in, think about it, look at the pros, look at the cons, have a discussion about it. Not overnight. Here you go. See you later. By the way, we're going to change everything you believe in about football. That was my biggest thing. But the ESL, you know, like, who doesn't want £350 million per year just for signing a thing? We'll do.
So
but it wasn't done the right way.
Well, was you a fan of the ESL, or was it have been something that you would have? Because I think if had we not signed up to it, as Mike was saying, I think we would have been left behind, and I don't think we could afford to be left behind in this race for riches as it is. What's your thoughts on that?
It completely stands to reason, and as Mike said, you know, as far as Levy is concerned, you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. You want to be in the top echelons of the elite. So but listen, it just goes back to what we've been saying all along. ENIC is a money making machine, and you know, like £350 million, that's all they're interested in. It's a business. You know, they couldn't not do it. They couldn't have Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester City, Chelsea and United be in it, and Tottenham not.
Chance. No.
They can't. They're never in a million years. And as Paul Brown said, my cousin's Paul Brown, but there's an E at the end of that guy's name. He's had a beer and he's he's
a regular, that Paul Brown.
He said on the comments, if you are my cousin, hello. He said on the comments that, you know, the revenue brought in by all the American football and the concerts far supersedes any transfer dealings that we can have. So it's all just feeding back to itself. It's just a money making machine. This is what we're saying. We're all agreeing on that.
I'm going to come to this comment here, and I think this is from a younger fan. So my whole life I've watched Tottenham win nothing. I don't see anything changing in the foreseeable. So the last thing I want to win is nothing and watch bad football. So there is a school of thought, as I said before, with the younger generation. It's not about, you know, if they can't win anything, because ultimately we have to spend big money to win something. They just want to see top four or, you know, Europa, so we can play all the best teams and maybe have a chance to win the Europa, to get in the Champions League, to not win it, but play the best teams, which I don't really, I've had enough of that now. But this is what I'm saying.
It's not their fault, is it, Sam?
It's not, and this is the point. So we've got a new generation of fans who are different to the legacy fans who have got a different mindset because of what they've seen with Levy. They've all they've seen is Oh, fantastic new stadium's gone up. Wow, this is amazing. Great new Hotspur Way training facility. Wow, this is amazing. We must be doing something. Now all they want to see is the football to match.
Yeah,
that's what the younger generation want, isn't it?
Yeah, but when you go to the protest the other day, it was all the younger fans there. So I don't believe that. I think younger fans do want the trophies. I just don't think they know enough about the history to know how to argue their position. Like you mentioned expressions earlier. He's I've met him many a time. He's a funny guy. He's entertaining. People love him. All fans of all clubs really like him. And I like the fact that when he goes on these other YouTube channels and they all rant and moan, he'll stand up for Tottenham. But if you get into a proper conversation with him about Tottenham, he's not that clued up. He is that new school fan. He's not. He's not that clued up on Tottenham.
Do you want a story about expressions?
Go on, Rich.
I want to make it clear. I do like him.
Let me tell you a little story about expressions. So I work a little bit in hosting with football and blah, blah, blah. He was at a charity football game one day and I went up to expressions. And I said to him, "You're a Tottenham fan?" Yeah, bruv. Yeah, bruv. And yeah, okay. So I said, "Oh, my son's William Nicholson Cracknell." And he went to me, "All right." And I went, "Like Bill Nicholson Cracknell." And he went, "Yeah, all right, okay." I said, "You know Bill Nicholson?" And he went, "Who?" And I went, "All right. See you later, mate." Now this is Now this is a man that had all day with like Jan Vertonghen at the training ground playing Monopoly for the Tottenham for the Tottenham social media channels. There you go. I'll leave you to decide what you think of that. I'm zipping my lip. I think
when he said he didn't know who Bill Nicholson was, did you go?
I think, and this is the point. I think what it is, a lot of the new school fans, they see things like that because we're in a different age now. We're in a digital age, and we've got everything on YouTube. When people put these stuff out there, so we've got a lot of fans who look at expressions and think, right, because he's unhappy about
it. He's entertaining. He's entertaining.
He's entertaining.
He's a funny guy, man. He's so
smart,
and I really like it. I like him a lot. But again, it's difficult. It's such a difficult thing because, as I said, I really don't want to go back to 91 and onwards. From that point, the sugar days. That I don't want to see that. But are we in danger by chasing out owners, which is what's happening at the moment? A lot of clubs are beginning to try and chase owners out who don't have to sell if they don't want to. But if they're forced to sell for whatever reason, because they don't want to take any more heat, and somebody else takes up the reins, how do we know that they're going to be any better? How do we know that they're now going to
come in? They've seen the backlash.
Sam,
they've seen the backlash, Sam. They've seen what they've seen if they fuck about. I was going to say if they've seen if they fuck about with our club and they mess about with our tradition and our history, there's going to be protests.
I'll let you say this as well. But Bob, this is what I'm saying. So what we then end up doing is a cycle of this. Right? They've come in. We like, yeah, just like our managers. Great, fantastic. Oh, well, hold on a minute, they're not doing too well. Let's get them out. Next thing happens, new manager in, blah, blah, blah. So this could be the same thing with owners. We can get new owners in because we think they're going to come and do this. Anybody that comes in to buy Tottenham are not buying it because they just think it's a charity. They're coming in it because it's a business. They can see the assets. They can see what it can bring in. They're going to come in to make money over the long term, whether that will be as if it grows in terms of its cost.
I know that. You know that. Everybody knows that. Billionaires are not there because they love the club and they know Terry Naylor was like a great left back in the mid-70s. Like our next owner isn't going to know Terry Naylor, isn't going to know Terry Gibson, isn't going to know John Pratt. They're just not going to know them. Like you say to our new owners, what about Paolo Tramezzani? He's going to think it's a tablet you take for a backache. Like, it's not happening. So I get that. I absolutely get that. Like, you know, they're just not going to be that type of people. But
we know that. Yeah.
When I look at like Kroenke out and the Glaziers out, I say to these people, well, at least you've seen like some captains going to lift some cups and you've seen some success. We've not even had that.
Exactly.
They're calling for them out and they've had some relative success. success. We've had nothing. Like, it's been absolutely fingrel. So I just cannot see, unless it's somebody with the most horrendous like human rights record that comes into own us, how it can be any worse.
Yeah,
can
100%.
I just say that aren't we making a rod for our own back with this stadium and all the American football and the concerts and all the extra revenue with that? Aren't we taking it away? Like I said, going further away from the grassroots, which is football, because you'd like to think that anyone who comes in would invest in the team, invest in a manager that's going to win trophies. I mean, you could argue that we have that with Mourinho, but that's another story. And then success breeds success. The more trophies, the bigger players, the bigger the brand, the more money that comes in.
Exactly.
And happy days.
Exactly.
That's what I think you just hit the nail on the head there, Darren.
Liverpool did it.
Clubs
Same
are
time
a
as Tottenham,
franchise
they
now,
did
aren't
it.
they?
Yeah.
Liverpool did it when Spurs should have done it, but they had an ambitious board that wanted to make that happen. We had a board that said, well, that's a risk. We don't do risk, we're prudent. Well, you got to take risk in all walks of life. You might marry the wrong woman, but you take the risk. You go down the aisle with her. You know, everything is a risk. You might buy the wrong car, but you buy it, don't you?
Everything's a risk. I've fallen a few times. I don't want to.
It was absolutely criminal, Sam, that we did not invest properly when we were officially the second best team in Europe. We were the second best team in Europe. That was our clout. We could have gone out there and said, officially, there you go. We are the officially second best team.
I don't want to take
you're coming. And that's it. That was so criminal. That was the time.
I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate, and I'm sorry for this because I have to do it because I want to promote some conversation. But the difference between finishing second and then let's say, do you want to transition to get to first? Given how all the other teams spend, what Liverpool had to do to get first was sell Coutinho 150 million. With that 150 million, they bought the best keeper in Alisson and the best defender, Virgil van Dijk at the time. They spent that money on two players. Are you going to think that we as Spurs are going to spend that type of money to transition from second to first? There's no way on earth we're going to do that. So
we got Solado.
Sam, I'll give you a 2-word answer to that. Steve Hitchin. Here's a man. Here's a man that will go to Italy and order chips with his lasagna. Here's a man on the Amazon documentary that said he hates the transfer
January,
window.
Yeah.
I've been absolutely hammering him for the last 3 days on social media and like making up mock pictures of him as an astronaut saying, "Hi, I'm Commander Steve Hitchens. I hate heights and the smell of rocket fuel." I even made him Samuel L. Jackson in Pulp Fiction saying, "Hi, I'm Samuel L. Hitchin and I hate Kahuna burgers and is equal 24/17. Like, how can you be a head of recruitment and hate the transfer window? That's the market you're working in. He is the most important man to get rid of out of this club at the moment. Get rid of Steve Hitchin because his record is appalling. We have spent money. We've spent good money on players, but the wrong players. Now, when you're the 8th richest club in the world, you get in the car, you go up to Leicester, you go and find their recruitment team, and you say to them, "You come and work for me." No, I'm not asking you. I'm telling you. How much are you on a year? I'm on 150 grand a year. Right, I'm putting you on 450 grand a year. I'm tripling your money because you will save that 300 grand that you've paid over the odds every time if you bring in a player for 2 bob and all of a sudden he's worth 80 million quid. It's as simple as that. Football's an easy game and industry made very difficult by idiots. It's as simple as that.
We did have a good head of recruitment, didn't we? In Paul Mitchell.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why did we get rid of him? Unless they say that there was an argument.
Why did he go?
He couldn't work with Levy.
Couldn't work with him. And
then you go and see what he does at Leipzig, and well, the rest is history, isn't it?
Guys, this all comes from the top. Okay, it's not Hitchin, it's Hitch Out. Steve Hitch Out.
Yeah.
You have got some right sayings, didn't you? Oh, this is quality. I've got to write these ones down. Sorry, Sel.
if you go to the Spurs Academy, okay, what goes on down there is the way. If you go to Ajax or Barcelona, they're really good examples. They've got a philosophy of how they play football, and the kids from day one are trained to be able to play in multiple positions, but under a certain identity or philosophy. And if you can't do certain things by 16, you're out. And what they do is they bring in managers that can play the way of the club. So you don't go to Ajax or Barcelona and say, right, this is how we're going to set up low block or count. No. This is how Barcelona plays. You need to deliver that. Let's see how good you are at delivering the philosophy of our club. At Tottenham, it's not like that. At Tottenham, we focus heavily on something called 1v1 domination. So any one point on the pitch, a player will be in a 1v1 duel, whether it's defending, goal striker, winger against wing back, striker, v-set, whatever. You've got to be able to dominate your opponent and keep possession of the ball, whether it's through skill, whether it's through dribbling, whether it's through running, whether it's through passing, 1-2, whatever it may be. You are loaded with every piece of ammunition in the academy to be able to dominate your opponent in a 1v1 situation. Why do we do it that way? Because they can't develop a philosophy in the academy. Because Daniel Levy comes right from him. He's implemented that the academy will never interfere with the first team, and the first team will never interfere with the academy, because Levy knows the average life cycle of a manager is 2 years. So how can you develop players to do a certain way when the next manager comes in is going to keep changing the way they play? These kids will never evolve. So Spurs have got this system in place, knowing they know that they're going to be sacking managers. Now, if the chairman knows he's going to be sacking managers, and that's why he's put this rule in between the academy and the first team, he's already resigned to failure. He's already accepted he can't select the right managers. He's already accepted that he can't get the right people in recruitment. This all starts with Levy. And then you go on social media and people say, oh, you blame Levy for everything. Yes, because I know what's going on in the club. It's him. Who hired Hitchin? He did. Who signs off on these players? He does. Who chooses whether we're going to pay the money or not? He does. Who decides whether or not we can sell players? He does. At what price? He does. Who puts the rules on the academy? He does. Right at the start of the show, Sam, Cracker's hit the nail on the head. He's not a footballing man. You can't have a man that doesn't get the game, not sitting back and watching, but understand the mechanics of what is needed from a 6-year-old to a 30-year-old, that whole journey with the manager and build success. That's not Levy. And he's had 20 years, he's proven it.
How many clubs have that, though, where they've got a football man at the very top in charge who owns it, who's going to look out for the best interests of the football club from a football perspective, not a financial perspective. That's really tough.
They employ the right people. They employ the right people, and they let them get on with the job. They don't interfere.
Exactly.
They don't micromanage.
Did you notice the decline in Arsenal when David Dean went?
Well done.
When David Dean went, Arsenal went. Because and Arsene Wenger said he'd go and look at a kid going to play somewhere, anywhere in Europe, and he'd go back. This is an interview with Arsene Wenger. Now, think of him what you like, but Arsene Wenger knows football. It's as simple as that. He'd go to David Dean and he'd say, I've been to see this kid. Who you been to see? Like Davy Smith, wherever. Somewhere in the backwaters of Europe. And he'd go, oh, okay. Yeah, I know him. And David Dean would know every player. He would know the player that Arsene Wenger was talking about. Yeah. The knowledge of him was incredible. I always said, when Arsenal got rid of David Dean, get him in at Spurs. Get him in at Spurs. Because he was the man signing the checks, but he knew so much about football. And that's all you need.
Look at the players you brought in as well, Cracker. Look at the players you brought in as well,
mate. Just incredible.
Unbelievable.
Daniel Levy signed the checks, hand them over to Rangnick. And Rangnick's your man in Germany. Like, it's no mistake.
About him, aren't they?
Oh, man, listen, you go and read about him, like Klopp, Tuchel, everybody in German football speaks about this Rangnick as the absolute godfather. So you just say to Rangnick, there you go. There's £100 million. Go and do what you need to do. Like, and I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll run off and I'll go and deal with properties and I'll go and deal with Lady Gaga on stage. Listen, when Lady Gaga plays at the new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, I think we can get a draw.
She could be number 17 if she wants to, because she could probably play better than he can. I tell you what, she could pull
exactly. That's all he needs to do. Just sign the checks. Go and earn the money and sign the checks over to football people. And it's simple.
What about the chairman of Leicester Limited Budget? Loved football, loved the fans, and look what they did.
Look what they're doing now.
That's very
still
true.
doing it,
But
aren't
they've
they?
got, as I think what you said, Richard, was a point. They've got the basis of people in there that know what they're doing from a transfer perspective. Steve Hitchout, as I now like to call him, still said, Steve Hitchout don't know what he's doing because he don't go and get the players that we need at the time. I don't know who they talk to. I don't know if they converse with the manager, whether they just see someone, whether it's on football. I don't know what they do.
He's micromanaged.
He micromanages everything.
It's terrible. The recruitment is terrible.
All the way through that Amazon documentary, he's turning up in the players in the canteen and eating with the players. He's like Alan Partridge when he speaks to his builders. Did you see the game last night? Which one? I've got no idea. Like,
He's killing me. He's killing me today.
He's talking fire. But Levy doesn't talk the same language as the players and the football people. Like, get out of the canteen, go and have, like, I don't know, like unicorn steaks and chips somewhere else. Like, what
I hope he's not watching.
And please, just don't get involved with the football. Just sign the checks.
I hope he's watching.
That's all you've got to do. That's all you've got to do.
I want to come round to each of you just to get a final summation of your thoughts about whether it is ENIC out or ENIC in. I'm going to start with you, Mike, and I'm going to come round the table as such. You can start first.
I can't see ENIC. I can't see them going anywhere at the moment. I think we're stuck with them for the foreseeable future. However, what I would like to see as a quick win, just to start the ball in motion as such, would be for the executive board, and in fact, Levy included on that, is to stand down and then, like Crackers and like Stelios, etc., have said, get proper people that know football, proper football people on that executive board. Let them deal with the on-field shenanigans, and let Levy build the club behind the scenes. From the business perspective, so I can't see ENIC going anywhere at the moment. Whether that's a good or a bad thing, it is what it is.
Darren, what's your thoughts? Closing thoughts.
I mean, I think I think this is going to be unanimous. I think they need to go. I mean, Daniel Levy is just about money. You know, you just look at his last-minute dealings, some of his suspect signings. There was a lovely quote from Ferguson who said that dealing with Daniel Levy of the sale of Dimitar Berbatov was more painful than his hip replacement. I mean, he's not interested in, he's interested in doing deals. He's Del Boy. I mean, look, I mean, we could be here till 11 o'clock. I mean, don't start. We haven't even discussed the players. You know, you could. They're not even fit. I mean, half the players are in the team. You know,
don't start.
They're not Premiership players. Good night. God bless. See you later.
We have to do another show on the players because there's absolutely no way we can do that because I need more than an hour for that one. No way can I do that now. Stel, have your last thoughts, mate.
Over 10 years ago, I was working for this car rental company, okay? I won't mention the name. I don't want to disgrace them. I was going through a transition period, so I ended up working in car rental for a bit. And this man walks into the shop. Big man, quite grand. I said to him, can I have your paperwork, please? He's given me all his paperwork so I can put it into the computer to rent him his car. I look at his driving license and it said Cornelius, surname J-O-L. I said, you're related to Martin Joel? And this was a couple of years after Martin Joel got sacked. He goes to me, yeah, for sure. I said, really? You're related to Martin Joel? He goes, yeah. I was like, what's the connection? He goes, yeah. Martin's my brother. I was like, your brother is Martin Joel? And he's like, yeah. I couldn't believe it. So I'm like, super excited. I'm like, mate, pleasure to meet you. How you doing, man? Let's see if we can get you an upgrade, Let's see if we can get you a nicer car. And I got chatting to him and I asked him,
Oh,
Okay.
He's back.
He's back.
No, you cut off there just as you was coming.
Belios,
Oh,
you asked him.
Oh,
You
man.
asked him. Go on.
You asked him.
I asked him, what got you the boot? Okay, why'd your brother get sacked? And he goes to me, oh, you know, football, it's a complicated industry. And I was like, what's that mean? He goes, well, you know, my brother, he wanted some, you know, really classy players from Holland, really top players. But do you know, Mr. Levy's a complicated guy. You know, he didn't want to buy the players from Martin. I said, what do you mean? He goes, you know, Edgar Davids? Yeah, he used to play for us. He goes, yeah, this kind of quality player. But Mr. Levy said no. And I thought, our chairman doesn't, what? That's the first time my eyes woken up to what was really going on at Tottenham. And I thought, the brother of Martin Giles just told me that Martin wanted certain players from Holland, top players, and they identified them as, you know, talent coming through. We've got to get, and so I thought, so who's buying the players then? That was over 10 years ago. 10 years on, not a damn thing's changed. I'm ENIC out.
I even love the accent still. The accent was good. That accent.
It's like he's lived in Holland before.
It's like.
That's you know.
I do like that one. Bob, Bob, I'm going to come to you before I come to Richie, because Richie, that's to close the show tonight. He definitely
bravo on that German accent, mate. That was brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm worried. I'm worried we're going to lose our Spurs. I'm worried when ENIC are going to go, if they're going to go. I'm worried about how we're going to turn this round. I'm worried how we're going to get our trust back into the board. But what I'm most worried about is if I'm ever going to unsee Darren doing the oozing dance. I don't know how I'm going to get. I don't know how I'm going to get past that.
The dance was quality. Don't know that was quality.
That's gonna haunt me forever.
He's done it again. There he goes. There he goes. That's quality.
Oh, bro.
And Mr. Cracknell, your entertainment has been highly entertaining. I would like you to finally sum up this show tonight for us, would you please?
I'll tell you another little story. When I lived in the UK, I had the number plate A1 EVY. Okay, so it said A Levy on my number plate.
Oh, yeah.
And I was parked in Kensington one day, and a Mr. Levy walked past because he was at a restaurant where my friend was, who I was picking up, came out, saw the number plate, came up and said to me, hello. He went, your number plate? Yeah. Do you want to sell it? So I went, okay, maybe. He said, how much do you want for it? I told him half the value of what I knew it was worth. And he looked at it and he went, oh, no, that's too dear. There you go. 50% cheaper than I knew what it was worth. And he still walked away.
He would have offered you installments anyway, Crackers. He would have offered you installments.
And that is all you need to know about ENIC and Daniel Levy. Thank you very much. Good night.
On that note, I don't know what else I can say, but I have to leave this whole stream because I need to wipe my eyes because I'm actually crying here. Like, subscribe, share, comment. Paxton Road TV. Thanks to you for watching. We hope you've enjoyed the show. We could go on for a very long time on this. I'm sure we'll have to do another show with more of these guys to come back because it's been a great show. And I hope you guys have all enjoyed it. I have enjoyed it immensely. I can't even see the camera properly because my eyes have still got water in them. But anyway, that being said, thank you very much. If you can, hit that subscribe button and also leave further comments if you want anything you want us to do in the future. We'd love to try and do that. So, gentlemen, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. I hope to see you all again, and good night to you all.